All right, fight of the night, no brainer. Waterson versus Hill, and then I think the other two are no brainers too. But the card was so good tonight. The other guys who won, I'm going to cut them checks too. But Kroom, you couldn't take it from him, and obviously Ottman, you had to give it to him too. Just the level of opponent he fought and how he won, and what a night! What an incredible card tonight.
It was a lot of fun. As you said, clear, fight of the night with the main event. I wanted to ask you what your thoughts were on the main event and the scoring. Obviously, the scores were all over the place. They were close rounds. Do you think the judges got it right?
The fight was incredible. The fight was incredible. My phone was blowing up tonight like it was a pay-per-view. People were going crazy over the main event. And I don't know how you guys had it. I had it 2-2 going into the last round. That was how I had it scored. And obviously, I said at the end of that round, I had it 2-2. I said, whoever wins this fight, it's you. You couldn't argue, either way. It was just so good. They both fought their ass off from bell to bell, and I can't say enough. This is one of those fights where there is no loser. There is no loser in this fight. It was razor thin. It was so close, and whoever won, I wouldn't have said anything either way.
Yeah. Phenomenal fight. It was a big one in the division. Probably not a title shot for either one of them, but what is going on with the champ, with Zhang Weili? Do we know when she's going to fight again?
We're working on that right now.
Is the fight done with, is it Rose is the fight?
Well, that's the fight we want to make, yeah, so we're working on it.
Okay.
She just had surgery after her last fight. Right. Okay. So, yeah.
Fair enough. Wanted to ask you about Ottman Izatar. Obviously, you gave him the bonus tonight. You said it, man. This is his second quick win in the UFC, undefeated record. What do you think about him? And is it worth trying to get him a fight on Fight Island, maybe? What's the thought?
He is.
He's going to fight?
Yeah.
Any matchups done yet? Or
no.
Okay.
Come on, we're not that good. We're good, but not that good.
I did want to ask you, I know you don't like to bang on referees anymore in your advanced age, but I got to ask you.
It's hard not to bang on this guy.
I got to ask you about the Mike Rodriguez fight yet, Herman.
The worst I've ever seen. He's at fucking Mazzagatti level. Some Mazzagatti level shit right there. That was one of the worst things I've ever seen. That kid wins by knockout, technical knockout, and loses the fight. Just one of the worst things I've ever seen.
It seems like that's something that could have been fixed if a replay was looked at.
I was all over him tonight about replay. We have to have replay. It's got to be replay. All you got to do is look at the fucking replay that's playing 6,000 times while Herman's on the ground and say, oh, shit, I made a mistake. You can't see everything. They're human. You can't see everything. That's a tough one. Now, how you think that is a groin kick is next level nuts, but whatever. It happens, and what are you going to do?
Fair enough.
It happened.
Curiosity.
We're giving Mike his win money, too. He won the fucking fight, so.
Very cool. Very cool. Curiosity, why is Fight Island still not official yet? Why do we still not know you said it on Tuesday, but there's still no, official announcements that, yes, by the way, Adesanya Costa's in Abu Dhabi. What's going on?
There will be.
By the time we get there,
suspense.
Dustin Poirier kind of broke our heart this week. He said he's not fighting Tony Ferguson.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about that? Will there be another fight for Ferguson, or is this possibly salvageable? What do you think?
No.
Okay,
we're not even trying to salvage it. We're getting another fight.
Another opponent for Ferguson?
Yep.
Cool. And
that'll happen.
Last quick one. You're going with the president again, the reception this weekend. I'm curious how that came together with Colby and Cejudo and Gaethje and all that.
Yeah, I don't know how those guys ended up going.
Colby put it all together for you?
Yeah, no. I mean, they called me Friday and asked me to go. But I don't know how they ended up going.
Okay.
I don't know how that came together.
Nice. And just last thing for me, a report came out that DAZN was looking at fights for Canelo with either Khabib or Masvidal. They were targeting those guys to fight Canelo. Which one are you working on? Which matchup are you preferring?
That's fucking hilarious. I don't even know what to say to that. That's hilarious, But are you shocked? I mean, that's the state of boxing. It's where those guys are at, I don't even know what to say to that.
Dana, you said you had a 2-2 after 4 rounds. Who'd you give the last round to?
Well, I just told him. I said it was 2-2. In the last round, I said, at the end of the fight, I said, whoever wins this fight, it's not going to be like, holy shit.
So you didn't score the last round?
Yeah, I mean, I watched. It was close. Last round was super close. They fought their asses off, both of them punching, kicking, elbows, attempted takedowns, stuffs, the whole deal. They fought their asses off, man. I said whoever wins the last round. Either way this goes, I'm not going to go, oh, man, that shouldn't have happened.
Do you feel in a way for Angela Hill, she loses that fight to Claudia Gadelha that most people thought she won. She comes back tonight, fights a great fight here, and she loses. And, she's different than a lot of them because she's a little bit older, like she's 35 or whatever. And so losing and putting her down in the division makes it a little tougher to get back up to a title shot there.
She don't look 35 physically or as far as her talent goes. Every time she fights, she gets better.
And I wanted to ask you one thing about the Mike Rodriguez ending, and I don't know if you know this or how they decide this. It was pretty clear, and he didn't call the low blow right away, right? I think it was pretty clear he did not see it.
I'm with you, Kevin.
Right.
Listen, not only did that happen, he goes, time. And Mike Rodriguez goes, time? What do you mean time? Fight's over.
Well, I guess
it was a total. I was sitting there going, what the fuck? Then they start fighting again. He knocks him down again and hits him with like 15 punches and elbows, and he still doesn't. I thought Ed Herman owed that guy money or something. Like, what the fuck did this guy? What did Ed Herman do to this guy? And only Ed Herman could have pulled that off because that guy's so damn tough.
I saw you over. You were over by Jeff there, sitting Jeff Mullen. Did he say anything like, how can the referee call something like that, or did you ask that question? How can that be called when he so clearly did not see what happened? How can he then make a determination that it is a low blow when he didn't see it? Just because the fighter reacts, it doesn't,
I could not agree with you more. I'm telling you, man, nobody has ever fucked up more than Mazzagatti, and that was a Mazzagatti moment right there for that guy. It was one of the worst things I've ever seen. It was over. The fight was finished. That's like him being knocked out and fucking, let's give him time to wake up and he can fight again. Literally what it was like. And then as soon as he stood up, his whole side of his body was as red could be.
Is Mike's arm injured? Because it was really way back there.
It wasn't. That was what I was really worried about. This kid gets robbed like that, and he's got a broken arm. He doesn't have a broken arm. He's okay, which is awesome.
Dan, I just wanted to get your thoughts on Kevin Kroom coming in, winning a fight, and straight away. Is that making the most of an opportunity?
That's exactly right. Without risk, there's no reward. I mean, that kid came in, huge underdog. Obviously, if you look at the books, not supposed to win. 4-1 underdog, the biggest underdog on the card. 1 day's notice. Different weight class. The list goes on and on of things that you could probably check off on why he was supposed to lose. But that's the beautiful thing about this sport. You never know who's going to win or lose in this sport. And that kid took a risk, and the reward is massive for him. He ends up winning winning the bonus of the night and wins the fight. And I always tell these kids, man, make everybody talk about you on Sunday. And let me tell you what. Everybody's talking about this whole card tonight.
Does it say something about mental toughness? If you've been trying to get to the top for 13 years or whatever it is, and then still having the desire to even get there, does that say something about you mentally?
100%. But it's all about, you can want to get somewhere as bad as you want to. What are you going to do when you get there? That's what you do when you get there.
Just one other thing. Have you guys started speaking to Michael Chandler yet? Has there been any movement on that at all? Or have there,
We've talked to Chandler, yeah.
Does it look promising, or?
Yeah, I like him. I like the kid. So, we'll see.
If you brought him in, what level do you put him at? Tony Ferguson in Fight Island, maybe? Or what?
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, we'd have to see timing and see what's available. And, it's more than just, is he going to fight, the number 1 or number 2 or number 3 guy? That's all about timing.
Thanks, Dana.
Thank you. Shmuel.
Hey, good to see you, Dana.
You too.
Want to get your thoughts on Billy Quarantillo. He's now 3-0 since getting the contract from Contender Series. What's your thoughts on him cracking in against a top 15 fighter?
Well, there's another one. How good was that fight? You know what I mean? He took some shots in that first round. It's always fascinating to see when somebody is on the receiving end of an ass whooping in the first round, getting hit with big shots and whatever. They go back to their corner, they make some adjustments and come back out and look like it. And then when you look at those two, the size difference between those two, and it didn't mean shit in the second round. So, yeah, awesome. I literally, you guys, I will go around the room and you can ask me about all these different kids. Tonight was incredible, man. The whole card was incredible. And I love when a main event really delivers. And that main event delivered tonight.
Earlier today, the Schmo talked to Impa Kansaganai. He wants to be on the next week's fight card or in Fight Island. Have you talked to him about being on next week's fight card?
No, I haven't, but it doesn't mean that the matchmakers haven't. They might have. I don't know. Listen, I'm loving this whole kids who want to turn around thing. It's fun. I love it. So if he wants to, and the guys can get him in, we'll do it. Especially now with this COVID nightmare and all this other shit that's going on. Fights fall off left and right. So I'm sure we're going to need it.
After the next 5 weeks at Fight Island, is it safe to say that the UFC is going to finish up the 2020 calendar year here in Las Vegas?
Yeah.
And then lastly, who scores more touchdowns tomorrow, throws more touchdowns tomorrow, Cam Newton or Tom Brady?
That's a great question. I have no idea. I haven't even thought about it that way. But, yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for football season. Good to see college football on TV today and start to feel a little normal again.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hey, Dana.
Hi.
So Jalen Turner looked really good tonight against Brock Weaver, but Brock is on now a 3-fight losing streak, and he's looked different in each of his losses. What do you think is next for Brock in UFC?
I don't know. Usually when you go on a 3-fight skid and you're not a really big name that's been around for a while, it's usually not good. But we'll see.
And finally, it's about 10 years ago, going back when you said that the women would not get a contract in UFC. And tonight you have Michelle Waterson, and she's headlined 3 times, as well as you've got Amanda Nunes and a few other women who have been at the top of the ticket. And then you have Angela Hill, who became the first African-American woman to headline a ticket. What do you think about when you look back at kind of where you started and where you are now, and how kind of naturally the promotion has evolved into these moments?
Yeah, and back then I went to a women's fight. I've told the story a million times, but it was up in Northern California somewhere at some small show. It was one of the worst things I'd ever seen. One girl was really good and one girl was not really good, and it was a one-sided, ass whooping, and I didn't like it. So that kind of turned me off to it. And now if you look at where we are today, and the main event that happened tonight, and I was saying earlier, man, my phone was blowing up like it was a pay-per-view. Celebrities hitting me up, all these people I haven't talked to in a long time, all going crazy how badass that fight was. That fight, technical, both women showing incredible toughness, both women having the desire to win, not stop. You could tell they were both exhausted. They were both beat up from the fight. And once they knew there was a minute left of the fight. They'd fought their ass off for 4 minutes of the 5th round. And then once they knew there was a minute, no hugging, no holding, no bullshit trying to squeak out a win. Those two fought their asses off tonight. There was no loser in the main event, and they should both be extremely proud of themselves. And I could keep going. I could keep going telling you how wonderful the main event was.
Actually, I would just one more. So Conor McGregor is back in the news again. And know that he's retired, and you don't spend a lot of time talking about retired fighters, but this is Conor. How much do you worry about your fighters who retire kind of with a little bit more left in the gas tank?
What's the end of the question?
How much do you worry about your fighters who at least say on paper that they're retired, but they have a little bit more in the gas tank, meaning that they could come back and fight again, that perhaps they can get themselves into circumstances where they can get into a whole bunch of trouble?
Listen, whether you're retired or not retired, you can get yourself into trouble. I don't know enough about the Conor situation. I don't know about it. I know what you've read. I've read the same things. Conor is retired. I haven't talked to him. I'm sure he doesn't need my help or advice, but if he did, he can call. I don't really know how to answer that question. Listen, Cejudo's got a lot in the gas tank too. He could definitely fight again. But I think when you have a guy like Conor and Cejudo that have done it for a long time and cut weight, dieting, all the bullshit you go through, and then you make a lot of money, you just don't feel like doing it anymore. You know? A lot of people don't think Conor's really done. He's just whatever. I don't know the answer to that question either. But we'll see.
John Jones has been in town. Have you guys had a meeting? Or is he just here for the PI?
No, I haven't. No.
Just to ask you about Conor, though, we obviously nobody knows really what happened. But what do you think of the fact that he puts himself in those situations to have these allegations, even if he didn't do anything? There's a lot of celebrities out there that are going to nightclubs that are doing things that aren't having this happen, and he's getting accused and accused and accused.
Let me tell you this. So, one time when Conor blew up and Conor was massive, he showed up one time at the venue with so much security. I was like, this is fucking ridiculous. Nobody needs this much security. This kid's going to blow all his money just on security. Then me and Lorenzo met up with him one night. And holy shit, it's just you just don't understand how big this kid is till you go out with him. He was literally getting mobbed. Like, people were going crazy, screaming, jumping up from blackjack tables, leaving their money there and running after Conor, and it was some crazy shit. I'd never seen anything like that. And you guys have to realize that things. Imagine what it's like with him in Europe. There were like old people freaking out when he would walk by. It wasn't just like young people. Old people were freaking out too. And I don't know, that kind of a life, crazy shit happens when you're in that type of lifestyle. And you try to go out and you try to act normal and you try to be normal, and it's hard to do sometimes. I'm not defending Conor in any way, shape, or form. I don't know enough about the situation to talk about it at all. But I do know I've gone out with him publicly before, and it is batshit nuts.
Well, you get batshit nuts, right?
Not even close. But I walk around, it's fucking not even close. Not even in the same universe. Close. No, not even close.
Any update on the Cody Garbrandt possible?
No. On Fight Island, that's all I'm thinking about. That's all I know about right now.
And about that, is there a chance that Volkanovski can still make for the rest of this year? I don't know, maybe to add it.
He could, yeah.
I saw commentator is calling Max Holloway for a fight, and even for the Ultimate Fighter. Would you see that? Like to see that, or
didn't you ask me this on Tuesday?
No, about
or Saturday, last Saturday. I got this question from somebody last Saturday. I still don't know. Okay.
On a solemn note, earlier today it was announced that Navid Afkari, the Iranian wrestler, was executed, who you petitioned, the government to stay his execution. How shocked were you about that?
Unfortunately, not very. I called the president and I told him about it, and he said, the first thing he said to me was, there's already sanctions against them, and there's just no recourse. He said, let me see what I can do, and he started talking to his people. Obviously, everybody saw the tweet that he put out, and I know he did some stuff behind the scenes to try to help, but I know there was a lot of publicity. I know the New York Times, Fox, tons of people in the Middle East and throughout Europe wrote stories about it. And I know some other people too, powerful people, that tried to help. And, at no point during this process did it look good.
Did you see Bobby Green's reaction after he won his fight? He was pretty upset that he had learned about it right before.
Yeah, I did. yeah, it's you know, it's a sad thing. You know, I tried to help. I tried, you know, when you look at something like that, first of all, there's only one way to try to help somebody like that. And that's the president of the United States or the government, you know, and I tried.
What do you think this situation kind of illustrates when we have a country that's heavily divided on some issues right now, and you have people protesting the government and the police, and it's that same government, those same police that protect their right to protest, you know, and then you have a theocracy on the other side of the world that you can't do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you know, that was what a lot of people were saying after I posted the video. You know, he knew he wasn't allowed to protest, but he did anyway. And, you know, much like people anywhere, of the people that are protesting now, when you strongly believe in something, you stand up for yourself. You try to stand up, and, you know, this guy did it even knowing that you know, the penalty could be death. I think as human beings, and especially this guy was a stud athlete, you know, world champion wrestler, very strong guy. I'm sure he was strong physically and mentally, and, you know, he was fighting for what he believed in, and it cost him his life.
On another note of something I've noticed that seems to bring people together a little bit. It seemed like in the past when there'd be fights that would fall out and fighters would, you know, not readily take a fight because they hadn't had the time to study a specific opponent and stuff. But it seems like that doesn't happen as much anymore. It seems like fighters are coming together and to make these fights happen when they fall out.
I'll tell you what, this is my take on it, and I talk about this with the fighters. When I've never been more proud to be a part of this sport than I am right now. When COVID hit, I knew we could do it. I knew we could do it safely. I knew I would spend the money and I would figure out how to do this thing the right way. And I was so confident that we would go and we would be first because I knew my team would. Because the people that work here at the UFC, we have the best group of people ever. I mean, and most of these people that work here, I wouldn't say that everybody is, but most of them are just as passionate about this as I am. And then the other part of the equation was the fighters. I knew, you know, what it takes to do what these guys, when you look at the Karate Hottie and Angela Hill and what they did tonight, you can think whatever the fuck you want to think. You, all the people watching on camera, you think you could do what they did tonight. You can't. You can't do what those two women did tonight. There's something inside of them, and not just them, but all the fighters, that makes them different than every other human being on earth. There's very few people that can do what they do. And they're special athletes. More special than any of the other people that play with balls or sticks or whatever the hell it is they play with. And I knew they would go. I know fighters. I know how they're built. I know how they're wired, and I knew they would go. So I knew that we would be able to pull this thing off first. I don't know if I answered your question, but
Yeah.
yeah. All right. Thanks. We good? Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Angela, I'm sure heartbroken right now. I imagine didn't get the result that you're hoping for, but give us the feel right now, the emotion after a battle like that.
Man, I wish I could get one more round. Yeah, it sucks, man. I keep ending up in this position where like I put my all into, you know, getting the finish and to getting the decision, and it just doesn't go my way. I definitely felt like I did more damage in the fight. I knew I lost the third round because I couldn't get up. And I felt bad about kicking her in the face, but I was aiming for the chest. The fourth, I kind of didn't go forward enough. I was worried about the takedown a little too much, and then the fifth, I finally said fuck it and went forward and did everything that I should have done in the fourth round, and I still didn't get that fifth round, so. It sucks. It was close. I felt like this fight was a lot closer than the Gedalia fight when it came to just like strikes landed, just because she was landing some push kicks to the face and a couple like side kicks when I was hesitating. So I thought this fight was closer than the last one, but I tried to blitz her. I felt like I did way more damage, and it sucks that I'm on the losing end again. I got to start taking bitches down and hugging them more.
Well, it was definitely an entertaining fight. I mean, obviously the clear fight of the night. You guys got the bonus. But I'm just curious kind of how you feel about this whole experience. I mean, as you said, I know you're disappointed in the result, but obviously the big opportunity, the history that you made, the attention that was given this week. I mean, even though you didn't end the way you wanted, how do you take this whole week?
I was happy I did the interview that I did. I was actually really nervous about it because I know how touchy people are. I know how people who call people snowflakes are very much snowflakes, you know, and they don't like when you say that you're black. And I was really nervous about doing the ESPN interview for Black Lives Matter just because I knew I'd have to stay off social media just to keep a clear head and to stay focused on the fight. But I felt like it was important to do it. It wasn't something I asked to do. They asked me to do it, and I felt like it was important to say yes. And I talked to my mom about it, and I talked to my brother, and I made sure the things that I was saying were things that needed to be said. So it was exciting having all that attention. I definitely am one of more of the like cruising under the radar type people when it comes to that kind of stuff. But yeah, it was really an emotional roller coaster going through this fight week and staying focused on the fight, staying focused on the task at hand, and just trying to represent.
Last thing for me, I mean, Dana told us that he views this as a fight with no loser. It sounded like he told you the same thing over here. So you get a message like that from Dana. Give me an idea where you want to go from here. I mean, what you want to do next. I mean, that was a war. I'm sure, do you need some time off, or are you still up for short notice fights? I mean, what's the plan?
Well, I'm going to be flying out to Abu Dhabi, I think, just to do the ESPN stand. So I'll be staying ready out there, and I don't think there's any strawweight fights on those cards, but I'm gonna check just in case. But I think I'm just gonna stay ready, stay grinding in the gym, and I really feel like it's important to start working in takedowns in my game plan, just to switch things up. And I've said it every time I've had a fight like this where it was a close decision loss or I felt like I got robbed or anything like that. Every time I have a fight like that, I'm like, man, the takedown would have made a world of difference just because of the way MMA scoring is, and I think that's a big thing that I need to sit down and work on. So even if I don't get a fight turned around right away, I think that's just what I'm going to be grinding on is actually doing that instead of just practicing at the gym, actually trying to take people down and ground and pound and stuff like that. Yeah, that'll be my next step.
Angela, to your right. I wonder what you think. You lose these two heartbreaking fights that you could have won either one of them, and you were ranked 13th coming into this one. So this would seem, at least in the title picture, to set you back. And especially at your age, you're not 25, right? So it's a little older, to get that.
I look 25.
I was going to say. But
especially after I got punched in the face.
how tough is that to think that way, or do you have to just ignore that and block that kind of thing out?
It's hard, man. It's really hard. Like immediately after they called her name, I immediately thought I quit. I don't think that anymore. Dana talked me out of it. But it's really disappointing, and I know there's more I can do. I know there's ways that I can switch up my game that I've done in the gym that I just am not as comfortable with in the fight as I am punching people in the face. But I got to switch things up, and this is another hard lesson. 2 hard lessons in a row. Maybe that'll be enough to make me stop being stubborn and start getting uncomfortable.
It seemed to me, Angela, when you came out, you were doing really well early, and then her kicks seemed to give you some trouble. How did you adjust to those, and what was the difficulty that those kicks she was throwing was causing you?
I think it was more the takedown. I got a little nervous about getting in that boxing range because I knew she was going to dip underneath me and try to grab my legs. So I stepped out into her kick range, and that's kind of where she started landing those shots. So I tried to adjust. I just started throwing more in the 5th round and started closing that distance and getting that faith back into my takedown defense because she only got me down once. I felt pretty strong in the clinch against her. It was just that one takedown freaked me out in the 3rd round. So yeah, I think that was really the issue there in the 4th, and I felt like I was able to solve the problem in the 5th, but I just didn't do enough.
Do you, as the fight goes on, are you scoring it yourself, or do you just have a general sense of how it's going on? Do you feel like, okay, I got that round, I lost this one? Do you do that during the fight?
Yeah. I mean, this fight, when the fight's really, really crazy, I guess this was kind of a crazy fight, but when the fight's like really, really crazy, then you don't really know, like if you get rocked or something. This fight, it was easy to keep score. Like I knew 1 and 2, I was mashing her up. I knew 3, she got me down. I knew 4 was close. A lot of times when you have fights go 5 rounds, and the person is still in it, even though they lost the first 2, they'll give the last 2 to the other person just so it's a toss up. And I knew the 4th was close, and I could have done more in the 4th. And so in the 5th, I was like, okay, I have to bring it. And we both said that, and it showed in the fight. And I felt like I edged it out, especially in the last minute of the fight. And unfortunately, I didn't.
Thank you.
When the decision was read out, you obviously acted with a bit of frustration. You were obviously quite upset. Was that because you felt you'd won the fight and they'd got it wrong, or did it just the general feeling of another split decision that could have gone either way that would upset you?
It was a little bit of both. I think it was more frustrating because my last fight ended that way. I think I was less surprised because it was closer than my last fight. But it was kind of like that rollover effect, it's just one disappointment after another. And yeah, I'm surprised I'm not like boo-hooing, but I guess it's nice to be done with it, and nice to get the pat on the back from Dana, and nice to get the fight night bonus. Hey, nice to not have my face lumped up too much. So I don't know. I'm frustrated, but I know my next fight I'm just gonna switch it up more. I'm gonna improve more, and yeah, you're gonna see a whole different beast next time.
Is there a feeling, though, in sort of a weird silver lining that, okay, you may have lost 2 fights now, but it could be said that your career's never had so much momentum behind it? You've never had as much attention as you've had now. I mean, you're here doing a post-fight press conference after a main event. So even though you've lost 2, actually, you're probably further ahead than you were before this little run you're on. Did you think about that at all?
Now that you mention it, that's pretty cool. I don't know. I'm so hard on myself. I would much rather be up here talking about my awesome win, and it sucks that I didn't get it. But I am trying to look at the positives and just enjoying. My friends hitting me up saying, "What, you got robbed?" Like, thanks, guys. Wish you were on the stands judging the fight. Yeah, it's not that hard of a blow to hit. Like, it's a blow to my bank account, and it's a blow to my ego. But it's not. I do recognize that the momentum is still there, and it's just little adjustments that I have to make to start just dominating people. And the fight started off really strong. If it was 3 rounds, I think I would have won it. Or, maybe she would have fought me differently if it was 3 rounds. But I definitely felt like I was winning the beginning of the fight. And I think every judge, except for that one, thought I was winning the beginning of the fight. So I have to look at the positives and roll that over to the next fight camp.
Well, congratulations on a great performance.
Thank you.
Angie, you mentioned that all the way over. You mentioned that you talked to your mom prior to the ESPN interview. What did your mom say to you?
She said she cried. They sent me the questions that they were going to ask me, and then I just kind of freeform wrote what I was thinking my answers would be to those questions, and I sent it to her, and I sent it to my brother, and my mom really liked my answers. There were a bunch of things I didn't say that I wanted to say, but I felt like that the interview summed it up really well. Just the fact that it's an important movement, and it's something that's affecting everyone right now, and it's something to acknowledge.
You said there were some things you didn't say. Is it because you wanted to be more measured in your response?
No, I just forgot.
Fair enough. So the fight didn't go your way tonight, but you think about the fact that you may have reached out to little black girls who are considering mixed martial arts, or maybe just need some confidence to step out in something that they are interested in. Do you think about that at all?
Yeah, I definitely do. And usually I don't think about it until I meet someone who is excited to see me, and it's a little black girl, and I'm like, oh, it just warms my heart, because I never thought that I'd be doing this, even 10 years ago. I never thought that I'd be doing this. I was a bartender and an animator, so it's a big change in my life, and it's something that I never saw myself doing, and I get so much joy from it, and so much confidence and pride from being a mixed martial artist, and from being as good as I am, and improving, trying to improve every day. But to open that avenue for someone who didn't think before that it was a world that they could be involved with, it's amazing to me, and it really brings joy to my heart, and especially makes times like these a lot easier to deal with, knowing that I'm inspiring people.
You should know then that I have a 6-year-old who's at home wearing her afro tonight, and she's been FaceTiming me all night, saying she couldn't wait for the bad A to come out. So you are touching girls.
Oh, that's
not
amazing.
You are reaching.
Well, I'm reaching. You're not reaching for them, reaching out to. That's awesome. That's so cool. Thank you. Thank you for saying that and sharing it.
Michelle, congratulations on your victory. Obviously, it took a physical toll on you there, but how are you feeling after a performance like that?
This is the new eyeshadow color, black eye purple. Anytime you take damage and you get a victory, it doesn't hurt. So I'm super happy to come home with the victory and go home and see my little monkey.
She was having a lot of success early on, right? It seemed like she had the better of the opening rounds, and you had to dig deep and make some adjustments. So what changed over the course of the final few rounds that you were able to start getting the upper hand?
I think for me it was just honestly an adjustment within a couple of inches. The difference in, being a little bit further back and reserved and kind of trying to fight on the outskirts versus just kind of biting down, sitting in a little bit deeper and like intruding on her space, and just deciding, all right, let's go forward.
It was clear that it was a battle back and forth, but later in the rounds, in the latter rounds, it seemed like you were smiling a little bit, even though you had taken some damage. Can you remember kind of what was going through your head as you're in this grueling battle, but you're smiling?
It's a fight, it's a fight. This is what we love to do, and I think everybody has that within themselves. It's like fight or flight. I always remember it being in like sport karate and getting kicked in the face and just seeing the blood come down and seeing the blood and not wanting to retreat but actually wanting to move forward. And sometimes you just have to get hit to feel that way. Like, all right, let's go. This is a fight.
Of course, you never know what the judges are going to see. But as far as you and your team, when it came time to read the decision, how did you feel? Did you think you'd done enough to win, or were you a little worried?
Yeah, absolutely. After the third, after the takedown, I feel like the tides changed. I feel like I was the aggressor. I was the one, in her face, pushing the pace and landing the harder shots.
Last thing for me, where do you want to go from here? I mean, obviously that was a big win, high-profile victory over a tough opponent. Imagine you kind of want to rest a little bit after this and, like you said, enjoy the family. But what's the next move for you?
The goal has always been to fight for the belt. I've been chomping away at this for a really long time, and I want to get there. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's like I'm like chipping away, and I can't turn around. I just got to keep going forward.
Michelle, to your right. When you say that, you say you want to fight for the belt. You're coming in off of 2 losses. You start off maybe 2 rounds down, right? You're kind of behind on the scorecard. Does it go through your mind, hey, everything I worked for all my career, I need to step this thing up or else I'm going to be in trouble and lose a lot of what I fought for?
Yeah, I think that sometimes when you put all of that pressure on your back, it can be overwhelming. 2 losses, this has to be a win. We're fighting for a main event, 5-round fight with 1 week's notice. What happens if I lose the fight? Will the UFC cut me? I've been fighting for over 13 years. Where is my career gonna go? Like, the thoughts in your mind can become overwhelming. So I just decided to dump all of those thoughts and go in there and fight. Do what I love to do.
And as you were making the comeback, like as say you got into the 4th round, you turned the tide in the 3rd round. As you got there, did you say, okay, this is where I want to be? And like, was there something inside of you that was talking to you and keep doing this?
It was like, you're having fun. You're connecting. Why do you train so hard? In the gym. Why do you push the pace in the gym? Why do you do the sprints? Why do you do strength and conditioning? Why do you kill yourself so much in the gym for it to not come out in the fight? Let it come out.
Dana had talked a lot when he was here about, how he knew that the UFC would be successful during the COVID era because of the way the fighters are wired. And so I guess I wanted to ask you, like, what makes you, want to do this, be a fighter to begin with, and then B, in an era where they're saying stay at home, wear masks, don't, shake hands, don't go out, and you're going against all that stuff and doing all that other thing. What is it about you that makes you love it so much that you'll take all these risks to your life and your health and your safety to do it?
Because those are the things that make you feel the most alive. I think it's important to understand that, it's a time of, we're in a pandemic, but it's also important to understand that you only have one life to live, and how are you going to decide to live it? I'm a strong believer that our children learn from our actions. So I'm out here doing it.
Thank you.
Hey,
Thank you.
Michelle, you mentioned about the late notice to 5 rounds.
Yeah.
How much of a difference did that make?
I don't think it made a difference at all. I think it played to my advantage. Obviously, if everybody thinks that I lost the first 2, but we always train for 5. I live in high altitude. I'm always pushing the pace. I don't have any problem with cardio. So I was really ecstatic to go 5. And I knew Angela was game to do it too.
And last thing for me, I was curious, you had some very nice words for Michael Bisping on the broadcast. You said that he meant a lot to you and you looked up to him. What exactly about Michael do you appreciate?
I just love his genuine love for the sport, and I think that he's, he's just really down to earth and understands what it is to have a heart of a fighter. Sometimes you just have to let it go and go out there, and I think that fighters can relate to one another in that sense, to where sometimes there's so much judgment cast upon fighters, whether they win or lose, but nobody really understands like all the stuff that happens behind the scenes, all the sacrifice, all the pain and turmoil and things that the fighters have to go through in order to show up fight night.
Congratulations, Karate Hottie.
Thank you.
Your last 7 fights have all come down to decisions. What are those thoughts going through your mind in those final moments before you hear the results?
You kind of just, you hold your breath. It's one of those things. Yeah, my last fights have all gone to decision, but since I've been signed to the UFC, the only person outside of my UFC debut and Angela have all been against top 10 opponents. Ranked top 10 opponents, and Angela, like Claudia Gadelha said, is underrated. She should be in the top 10. And so when you get up to the upper echelons of opponents, it's hard to secure those finishes, and you can't. Those are things that you can't plan, or those are things that you can't force. Because if you try to force it, then you can see it. So you just have to let the cards come as they may.
To get that title shot that you desire, you're going to probably have to fight someone that you've already fought, like a Joanna Jędrzejczyk or a Carla Esparza. Mm-hmm. Do you have a name in mind that you want to fight next that you think you could quickly get a chance to fight for that gold?
I don't know. Everybody's been asking me that a lot, but my mind hasn't been on anybody but Angela. I think that I can't look past my initial opponent, because that's where my focus had to be on, was Angela. And like I said when I was talking to you earlier, like, thoughts about climbing the ranks and doing all of this, and it can become overwhelming. You just have to focus on the fight. You have to be in the moment, and I think a lot of fighters can become distracted by trying to get to the big mountain when they haven't even got up past the first or second, third hill. So. Whatever is to come, I'm going to continue to grow and evolve as a fighter. And I'm extremely proud of myself that I've been fighting for over 13 years and still adding to my repertoire as a MMA fighter. I haven't only stuck to, my stand-up. I've been working on everything.
And lastly, going into the championship rounds, it was kind of back and forth between you two. Where did you see your biggest advantage was against her heading into that 5th round?
I think I had... I was landing the harder shots. I was in her face more. I was pushing the pace. And I just wanted it more.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Michelle, your coach put on the brown belt at the end of the fight. Were you expecting that, and what does it mean to you?
Oh, it means the world to me. It's not at all. We were just joking around back there, because after he gave it to me, I was like, man, now I can't sandbag as a purple belt anymore. But it does. It means the world to me. We've been working really hard, and honestly, I really did want to get a submission tonight. But Angela's, her takedown defense is super good. So it didn't pan out the way we wanted it to, but that's the fight game. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you.